What's happening, fantasy world? It's your boy Hot Soup coming to you with our overachievers from week 10. Boy, did we have so many. Yeah, man, it was a hot week we had this week. Lots of high scoring games. Man, we're going to go over some of those guys, man, that, people may have plug and played or may not have, and they blew up on your bench. Yeah, man, it's a lot of those guys, some overachievers this week. We're going to start off with Mr. Sam Howell. He's been talked about on this show week in and week out about how he's going to, at the end of the year, I told you he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. Right now, he is ranked number 9 overall in fantasy scoring standard leagues. That's right. Sam Howell was the number 3 quarterback this week off the board in scoring, threw for 312. 3 TDs. He had 2 rushes for 17 yards, man. Once again, ending up the number 3 scoring quarterback for week 10. Sam Howell has a high floor, man. He has weapons over there. They are constantly down in games where he has to pass the ball. He has a very capable running game, has pass catchers out the backfield. Man, Brian Robinson even went off for 6 receptions for 119 yards this weekend. Yeah, man, we had some big plays. Sam Howell was one of them. Number 2 quarterback that we got to go get off the waiver wire right now, man. He was the number 6 quarterback in fantasy scoring. And what's crazy is he wasn't even really prepared for this game yet. He had just started playing with Minnesota, man. Josh Dobbs, 268 yards through the air, a touchdown. He also had 8 rushes for 44 yards and a touchdown. He was the number 6 fantasy scoring quarterback this week. Y'all got to go grab him. He needs to be in lineups. If you're looking for a quarterback and you don't have a top 10 guy, Josh Dobbs needs to be in your lineups. I believe this week that Jay Jetters is coming back. That offense is going to be clicking. They got that kid Chandler making moves right now. Madison is out with a concussion. Not sure if he's even going to play. He's been a shell of himself all year. Anyway, going to grab Ty Chandler off the waivers would probably be a smart thing to do too as well. Again, Josh Dobbs, number 2 off my list for overachievers this week. Number 3, Brian Robinson. Just talked about him. 8 rushes for 38 yards, 6 receptions, 119 yards through the air, and a touchdown. Brian Robinson was the number 1 running back this week. I'm not saying you should lock your lineups with him every week in, week out. He's definitely a matchup-based running back, but he's a guy that can get you high points and win your week. Devin Singletary, who saw this coming? Man, we all did. Dameon Pierce has not been what he should been this year. Singletary is a much more capable back, and he's been showing that week in and week out. Devin Singletary this week, 30 rushing attempts. Obviously, Dameon Pierce was out with an injury. Singletary got all the work. 150 yards off 30 carries, man. That's 5 yards a pop. Do your math. 1 TD, and he had a reception for 11 yards. He's going to be the man from here on out. I don't see Dameon Pierce coming back and getting that job after a game like that. Yeah, that boy, Devin Singletary, did his thing. Devin Singletary was the number 3 back in fantasy scoring this week. Jaylen Warren, who saw this one coming? We all did. Even though Najee Harris had a great game, Jaylen Warren has been outscoring him the past couple games. Jaylen Warren had 15 rushes for 101 yards, so they're trusting in him. He also had a touchdown, 2 receptions for 9 yards. Jaylen Warren is definitely a serviceable play week in and week out, especially in PPR formats. He was the number 6 scoring running back. That's right. He had more points than Najee this week, even though Najee put up a solid 90 yards and a touch this week as well. Brandon Cooks is our receiver, first receiver on our overachievers. Did y'all see that game? Dallas was throwing the ball early and often. When I say they was up 3-4 touchdowns, Pollard was a afterthought. I mean, they just kept passing and kept passing. It was like, we don't care. We're going to put up 60 points on these cats. That's how Dak was throwing the ball. They did not stop throwing. I thought the game script was going to have Pollard getting the ball in the second half. I was wrong, man. Go get Dak Prescott. Get him in your lineups. Make sure CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks is also in those lineups. Brandon Cook had 9 receptions off of 10 targets for 173 yards and a touch. He was out of his mind this week. That's right. Brandon Cooks will be a big pickup off the waiver wires. And he is my number 1 receiver overachievers this week. No one saw that coming. Noah Brown, number 6 receiver in fantasy scoring this week. Listen, man, Noah Brown had 8 targets, 7 receptions for 172 yards. 172 yards. Oh, my God. Number 6 in scoring right now. Look, CJ Stroud, and I said this last week and the week before, is throwing that pill for 400 yards a game. That's enough work for Nico Collins, Noah Brown, and Tank Dell to have 100-yard games, and Schultz to throw up big games, okay? CJ Stroud is a certified top 7 quarterback right now. I had him on 7. Shall I raise him up to number 6? Yes, I shall. Tyler Boyd, number 11 receiver in fantasy scoring this week, right? No T. Higgins, no problem. Joe Burrow's healthy. He's throwing that rock down the field. It's enough for everybody to eat. Your boy, Tyler Boyd, went off 12 targets, 8 receptions, 117 yards. Go get Tyler Boyd off the waiver wire because he's out there in 50% of leagues. Get him in your lineups if you need somebody serviceable for a flex option. He's a wide receiver, too, from here on out. Trey McBride. Ooh, did he look good with Kyler Murray in the game? Trey McBride, number 3 tight end this week in scoring. This man had 9 targets, 8 receptions, and 131 yards receiving. And he looked good. And Kyler Murray looked like he gonna feed him. No more Zach Ertz for the rest of the season. McBride is a top 5 tight end right now. You heard it from here first. He is the next Travis Kelce for the rest of this season. Y'all see what I'm talking about in week 11. And TJ Hockenson, the number 1 tight end this week. Even though he's a big name, I had to put him on this list. This man had 15 targets, 11 receptions, 134 yards, and a TD with the new quarterback, Dobbs. I don't see that changing. Dobbs was feeding him. But he was breastfeeding that man. He had Hockenson on the titty like this. Yeah, that's right. Get you some Dobbs. Get you some Hockenson. Y'all heard it from Hot Soup. Those are your top 10 overachievers for week 10. You can come check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Like and subscribe. Come check us out for our next episode of Underachievers for week 10. Boy, I got some bangers. You're going to be like, everybody was starting them and everybody was losing.